What's up, Noob University? Did you watch End Game? What about Spider-Man Far From Home? What's next for Spidey, and where are some of the cool video games that are coming out? Well, if this sounds like a cool, interesting topic for you, stay tuned because my next guest has a lot of information for us geeks out there. What's going on, Noob University? Today we have a very special guest. We have a really good friend of the show, known him for a very long time, and we're going to talk nerd stuff. We have Mr. Ruben Dobson. Ruben Dobson, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Noob University, what's going on, everybody?
All right. It is good to have you on the show, man. I've been looking forward to talking through it because, man, as everybody should know, we are huge nerds.
Yeah, that is true. Some of the biggest nerds in probably Houston, I think.
So it's going to be a good thing because I figured it would be a really good collab for you and I to get together. You run a very interesting group here on Facebook with a lot of following, and it's a pretty active group. Can you tell us a little bit about the group?
Yeah, so the group is called Houston Geek Faction. I established it in 2015, so about 4 years now. Originally, I was another part of a Facebook group, and there's a lot of drama, a lot of, just immaturity. I was like, you know what? I can do this better. So, of course, we actually started with 3 admins, Chad, Leo, and me. And then everyone's still with the group to this day. So we let's come up with something that's all inclusive. So there's no one who, will feel left out, whatever fandom or geek related thing you like, you're welcome. So that's where kind of Houston Geek Faction came about. Right now I think we're at 1,500 followers, and the main thing, I really don't care about numbers. Like, it could be 5 people, but I think it's like a sandbox group where people can make it what they want. It's nothing to where you feel like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't know if people will like it. Like, put it out there. You never know. Someone may be like, what is this? And you have someone to talk about. So just my goal for Houston Geek Faction is just to make everyone feel welcome, everyone feel like, if, as a resource for you to find new things, to meet new people, and just it grows from there. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I know that the past. I remember when you started the group, people were a little bit kind of quiet in the group, and it was, they were kind of adamant about posting or anything like that. But man, now it's active, and you have a really good community.
Yeah, when we first started it was mainly the admins posting, trying to get some just people to talk, and once people come out of their shell, now I just sit back. I really don't even post that much anymore, and I have a few moderators that that kind of generate content, and I sit back and I'm a fan now. So that's what I like about it, is I will venture into things I probably wouldn't venture into, and it's all because of the followers, and if you lurk in there, that's great. So it's something that, for me now, I'm a fan of what people are posting. So I will say, but Houston Geek Faction, the one thing I really do like about it is how active people are now, and meeting up the community, whether it be at Comic-Cons or movie screenings. People come up to me and say, hey, you're from Houston Geek Faction. And, I don't wear a shirt, but I guess people, they realize, like, kind of the face of Geeks, and it's kind of weird because I'm like, I'm just myself. Like, I don't know. But we've come a long way from where we started, and I'm happy that it keeps growing every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really good to follow and kind of be there since inception. One of the things, so of course, let's give a little bit of background on where we know each other. Yeah. We met in martial arts. Right. We both did Taekwondo. Ruben's a 3rd-degree black belt, just as myself, and he's been training actually longer than I have. Right. Super competitive, going to tournaments. I mean, Ruben was probably like one of these premier guys here in Houston. He was just amazing back in the day just to watch.
Thank you.
No problem, man. I mean, seriously, he was a force to be reckoned with. But outside of that, it was interesting because outside of Taekwondo, we found that, hey, we love, superhero movies. I think at the time it was Hulk came out.
Yeah, I think it was around maybe the first Iron Man, the Hulk. And it's something that now you can be, you can be proud of it. You can wear your comic book shirt out openly, and it's kind of weird to say, but before, we were kids. If we wore a Spider-Man or a, Iron Man shirt, people were like, "What is that? You nerd? You geek?" Now, you go to the store and you see multiple people wearing shirts, and I get commented all the time on shirts I wear. And it's funny, my wife's like, "You're gonna wear that shirt?" I'm like, "Yeah, I wear this shirt." It's like, it's weird how now times have changed, to where it's actually, normal to see geeks out in the community.
Yeah, because I guess we were kind of in the shadows back then, so it's good to be out of there because you get to be yourself. One of the cool things about the group is actually like the range of what people like in there. I mean, we have anime, we have of course Marvel movies, all types of cartoons, old school cartoons, new school cartoons, Disney movies. I mean, it's huge. It's so broad.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I've seen is the range of like from people who play board games to video games to classic movies. To I even say someone posts the old, Japanese Spider-Man, and it's something like the range of where people have their geek. And the funny thing about geek, it's a term that it means something different to everybody. That's what my logo that I wanted. It was a brain. Like whatever is in your brain can be a geek. So that's why I want to people feel welcome there, and I didn't want to put it comics because then you limit people. So geek, whatever fandom you have, bring it in, and you never know, you may create a new person that will join it or talk about it, and it's something that we want people to bring something unique. Of course, right now the big thing is Marvel movies. Like Marvel movies has changed the way that we look at comic movies now, and it's good and bad. I think because right now every movie that's going to come out is going to be compared to End Game, or going to be compared to Infinity War, which it's a good way to make movies better. But again, there's some good movies, like for example, let's say Ant-Man and the Wasp. Great movie, but it came after Infinity War, and we're like, oh, okay.
Another one.
Yeah. I want to know what happens to all my characters that got dusted. So that's the thing about, we set the standard so high, which is good, but, anything that comes after that, I think is going to kind of have a weird stigma about it.
Right. Yeah, so it's almost comparable to like if you think back to the first Fast and Furious, right? Anything after that, or the Matrix even, anything after that gets judged because those were huge blockbuster hits, and you put them at a pedestal, and then at that point you're like, wow, you have to really blow people away even further. So the bar's so high already. So yeah, I could definitely see that. So before we actually go into Marvel, because I want to touch, we'll spend a little bit of time working on that. Let's go back to your group before we finish that out, and let's talk a little bit about your some of the activities that you do, because you guys do some cool activities. Can you talk to us a little bit about what are some of the things you guys have done?
Yeah, we have meetups at the local conventions here, so Comicpalooza. Pandemic, we try to have a presence there, whether it just be a couple admins available to meet. Because sometimes people, they want to go, but they don't really have anyone to go with, and we want to be like that friend for you. So we have meetups at conventions. We try to do at least 2 game nights a year, whether it be at Dave & Buster's. We want to expand it to more, but people's schedules are really hard to coordinate. But that's one thing I want to make for this next year coming up, is to have more opportunities to have meetings and just hang out. You can bring games, you can bring cards, whatever, and comics, and just hang out and talk. And I want to the thing I really want to do is have a virtual game night, to where you don't have to leave your home. You can join on a streaming platform. We can play games together. So that's something I'm working on in the future.
Yeah, that's good, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because you recently got active on Mixer.
Yeah.
And I've been watching your streams. It was really fun to watch. It's a little bit better. So I watch a couple of live streamers. So shout out to Sofo-sama, because I watch him stream all the time.
Yeah, Sofo.
He loves it when I go in there and troll. But I've seen some of your streams, and man, it's a little more. And I don't know what it is about the platform, but it seems it's more engaging, I think.
Yeah. Mixer is unique, and it's still fairly new. So anybody don't know, Mixer is owned by Microsoft, and it's a competitor to Twitch in YouTube gaming. I kind of chose Mixer because it's still fresh, and I feel like you can get on the ground floor, and you're not buried underneath everyone else. Like if you're on Twitch trying to get started, but no matter what, it's still going to be a grind for you to kind of get noticed. But if you have 10 or 15 people, you kind of move up toward the top of the categories. So that's why I kind of feel, like it would be a good fit for me. I'm not looking to get thousands of people, but if I think the most I've had was 40, and I was like kind of nervous playing. But I want it to be just a venue for people to come hang out and talk, about geek, or, it could be the game I'm playing, or it could be the episode of Stranger Things. Like, it doesn't matter. You can come hang out and talk and enlighten me on some things, or play the game, like, hey, I know how to play this game, and then tell me. So, so Mixer is unique in that way that it has sparks. So sparks are, you earn it per minute you watch, and you can send sparks to kind of give a shout out to, who's playing the game. And the one thing I really do like is that it's almost instant. So when someone chats with you, I see it pop up instantly, and there's not waiting 10, 15, 20 seconds. And, so it feels like an interaction is more engaging that way.
Yeah. So that's for sure. Because I know when I watch, some people stream on YouTube, it's kind of discouraging because they'll do something on the screen which I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool. Hey, what is that? But then by the time he reads the message, it's like 30 seconds. He's already, either beat the level or past whatever section you were trying to comment on. So that's kind of frustrating. So that's good. I mean, I really enjoyed watching you play. So I think everybody out there, if you haven't checked out Mixer, I think it's really good. And we'll give out your handle at the end. So
yeah, for sure. There's a lot of great content creators, and I've been trying to support them recently. $5 a month here and there is, for a month worth of entertainment is actually a very good deal if you think about it. So I would say everyone, check out something you're interested in or something that you've heard of. For example, I was watching yesterday, the Blair Witch Project game came out. I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. But let me see what this is about. And I was watching people play it, and they were getting jump scared, and it was actually pretty entertaining to watch. So it's a good way if you're kind of on the fence about buying a game, go on Mixer, look up the game, and see like, oh, this actually looks pretty cool. And don't be afraid to say hi to the person streaming. Like, that's one thing I like about Mixer is that, even I go into the top people. For example, the other day I went to Ninja stream. So Ninja just switched over from Twitch to Mixer. And I just said, hey, what's up, Ninja? And he actually replied to me.
Oh, wow.
He's like,
nice.
Hey, TheBeast.com, what's up, man? Hey. And so I was like, whoa, like that's pretty cool.
He acknowledged me.
Yeah. He knows I exist. So that's the thing I feel like is that Mixer is just, it's at a level now where, it feels pretty inviting. I know a lot of people are switching to Mixer from Twitch. That's we can make a whole episode about that if you wanted to. So,
no, that's good. That's good. It's good to know why you made the switch and kind of what are some of the benefits of it. So now let's talk a little bit about movies, because that's one of the things that we were pretty during the summer. I mean, we had Infinity War, we had Spider-Man: Homecoming, we had all these great movies. So let's talk a little bit before we talk about the current stuff. Let's go back. Let's take Ruben back to the childhood before little nerd Ruben.
All right, let's get in a time machine.
What was the first movie that you go, okay, that was a cool nerdy movie that really got you going?
Well, first of all, shout out to my parents for exposing me at a young age to Star Wars, Ghostbusters, E.T., all those movies. I feel like played an influence in me growing up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a live action, to even growing up as a Power Ranger fan, like all that stuff, like now is considered pop culture icons if you think about it. So my parents really exposed me at a young age. But I will say the first movie that truly captivated me, and it's still my favorite movie of all time right now, is Terminator 2. My mom took me to an R-rated movie. I was probably, I think, maybe 6, 7 years old.
Dobson, what were you thinking?
Going to an R-rated movie, and it's one of those things that it just stuck with me. Like robots, time travel, Arnold doing his voices. Like, come on, get to the, I was captivated. So it's something that I felt like it really. I want more. I want more of this. And think about it. In 1992, 1991, like that stuff is like, what? AI? What is that? And now it's happening. So it's kind of it's weird to see how that play out. But I grew up watching Star Wars. I'll put it on, and my dad explained to me, that this is Luke and this is so and so, and it's something that I was like, whoa, this is awesome, And then I would go to Blockbuster Video. So shout out.
What?
Yeah. You guys know what that is. And I would look up the old cheesy Incredible Hulk shows with Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby. So I used to love those. So I kind of my passion just grew. And, if you would have came to, 10-year-old us and say, hey, in the future, Spider-Man and Iron Man are going to be in a movie together, and Captain America's going to throw Thor's hammer, and we'd be like, okay, whatever. So, like, it's crazy how far we've come, like, from those days.
Yeah, I mean, that era just... It was weird because it exploded the scene, but it did it in a very subtle way, because then it wasn't as popular as it is now. Because now it seems like everything's, these crazy graphics and things like that. But at the time, it was so costly that people just, they didn't want to go through the hassle. But yeah, you had the people, you had people doing Star Wars and crazy. I mean, those movies back in the day, the CGI and the effort it took to build those movies was incredible.
Well, if you think about it, like a lot of those old movies, practical effects, look at Star Wars, how they built a whole model sets of, the Death Star or stuff like that. It's insane to think about to do that nowadays. Now I think it'd be done in post-production,
green screens.
Actors are in front of nothing and they put a whole, universe behind them. It's crazy. Yeah. Same thing with Terminator 2, the practical effects, it changed like movies after that. From the cyborgs, Arnold's his Terminator face, like that was all prosthetics. So you think about it now, it's like hopefully I think as people who watch those movies, now we see CGI, we're like, that's CGI, like that looks a little cheesy. But so hopefully Hollywood kind of goes back to it's a little practical effect, mix it in, so sometimes you can't even tell like that practical is that CGI. So and I think hopefully some of the movies come out to take that that criticism that a lot of us have, let's get a little more practical, mix it in, and I think that's going to be the best cinematic viewing experience.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, think of like Ninja Turtles, right? I mean, these are just suits made out of foam.
Yeah.
But
shout out Ernie Reyes Jr.
Yeah, you met him. Yeah. You and your dad.
Yeah, he came. I think he came to one of our.
Yeah, he came to our seminar.
Yeah. Actually, we were in a Comic-Con in San Antonio, and I ran into him on the street. Like, Man,
those were the good old days. So we actually were exposed, thinking back to, and we're going to segue a little bit, not segue, but we're going to derail a little bit. But we actually got to meet some pretty cool people doing martial arts. So Ernie Reyes Jr., what was the guy from Walker, Texas Ranger that came in that day? The guy with the nunchucks?
No, he was from
no,
Wayne Wynn.
Yeah, you're talking about Wayne Wynn. But no, we had the guy from Texas Walker, the guy that he's always fighting. One of his nemesis. Anyway, he came, so we got to experience some cool people.
It's weird. And martial arts is its own geek thing now. So think about those old kung fu movies. They're part of the geek genre, and it's kind of weird. Like see Jackie Chan kind of make that transition from his old school to his new stuff is kind of anime-ish. It's awesome to see.
Yeah. What was it called? The Monkey King.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool, to mix all those people. I mean, Donnie Yen was in Star Wars. That was like, when I saw him, I was like, is that Donnie Yen?
Donnie Yen was in the original, the Blade movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, no speaking role. And now he has he's one of my favorite martial artists.
Dude, Donnie Yen's amazing. I mean, current people, I mean, for me, it's Donnie Yen, Tony Jaa, those guys, Scott Adkins, the dude's a beast, Michael J. Those are some cool guys that are definitely on the
I posted that on Houston Geek Faction. It was like 12 different martial artists. Like, who would you pick? And people are all debating. I love posting that stuff to kind of generate some talk, some chatter. It's always funny. And people are like, who's that? I'm like, oh, let me explain to you. A lot of these actors, we see them and like, who is that? Especially like when the Raid first came out.
Yeah,
we're like, who are these people? And now you see them in a lot of movies that some of them have their own Netflix shows. So it's good to see, good martial arts get recognized by the viewers. Like, oh, wow. Because you can tell, like, for example, Daredevil on Netflix, like the martial arts in that, for me, like, that's what I see. As martial artists, we see that. We like, we judge movies. My wife's like, stop. I'm like, oh, that's like, it was horrible. She's like, just watch the show. You're like, so it's weird as a martial artist, we see things differently. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, man. I mean, so some of those martial artists are really cool, and it kind of drove some of the movie genres to explode. And so it was really good. So let's fast forward a little bit, and let's talk about some of the important films we got. So of course, one of the biggest ones we got, the biggest one we had this year was Infinity Wars. So I'm sorry, End Game, not Infinity. Well, that one's good too, but End Game.
Within a year span, they had Infinity War and End Game, so it kind of in the same year they kind of both came out. So you're kind of right there.
Yeah. So End Game, I mean, that was the culmination of the Marvel franchise. Just they pretty much did their mic drop on that one. So let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on End Game?
It was a movie I felt that could have been 6 hours long, and we would have sat through and watched it. Like for the 3-hour film, it didn't seem long enough. And I think that's just how invested we are in these characters, invested in 22 movies that came before it, which is unheard of. And I think that it's something that I don't think will be ever done again by any other studio or any other, it could be comic related or like Fast and Furious is getting up there, but each film was somewhat different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was definitely. I think I saw the movie. I saw it a total of 3 times, and every time I saw it, it was something new because it was all. I mean, it was just overwhelming because it's like a sense overload, right? You're getting bounced around from here to there, and it was like you're like, what's going on? So let's talk a little bit about that. So what are some of the moments? And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, shame on you.
Yeah,
but
if you haven't seen Endgame, this is probably not the episode for you to listen to.
Definitely not. But so what are some of the things that stood out to you in the movie?
The movie is kind of separated into different acts, of course. But this one really it's almost felt like the first act really surprised me when the Avengers went and just killed Thanos. I think it took everyone like what, and then when the letter said 5 years later, everyone was just like. I heard audible gasp in the theater, like, "Oh my God, 5 years later!" I don't think we expected that. So I think that really was kept a good secret. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it kind of, because you were almost like, so are they done with Thanos, and what's going on next? So one of the highlights for me on that movie, and one of my favorite characters, of course, I got a back poster over there, is Black Panther. I feel like he didn't really come out in the movie as much as I wanted him to, but one of my favorite parts was just like at the end, him running in and like they were like, give me the glove, and he ran with it. So I thought that was like, I don't know, I stood up and started cheering.
Yeah, one thing they did really good in the movie is they gave each character their own kind of unique moment in the spotlight. Of course, the movie was focused on the original Avengers because kind of their going away party, I would say, but even from the smaller characters, they each had like these epic moments. They're like, oh my God, did that really happen? Did they just do that? So I felt the directors did a great job of really giving no matter which character you're a fan of, they gave that character some time to shine.
Yeah, definitely. So what are your thoughts on losing Tony Stark? I mean, because that was one of those teary jerk eye moments.
Oh, I cried. I'm not afraid to say it. I cried both times I saw it. I cried. I knew it was coming, and I still cried. Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. I think that I would rather them kill him off than him get replaced by somebody, which I don't think they would ever do. But here's a MacGuffin in Endgame. Time travel. Time travel is now canon in MCU. So with that, in comics in general, anything is possible. So I wouldn't say if they went to Robert Downey Jr. with a nice fat contract, I probably think he may be back, down the line. So for right now, he's not in it, but if you're watching this video 5 years later, that may be different.
Yeah, that would be epic. I mean, he started pretty much the franchise. It was one of those things, like his movie was so forward in his time. I mean, I bought the movie with the bonus features, and just to hear what kind of time it took to put on the suit, I was like, man, that's a lot of dedication. From the
original Iron Man to Endgame, I don't think, we thought it would be possible that would ever happen. Like from Iron Man, like, oh, that was awesome. What was that? And then the little teaser at the end with a Nick Fury, like, what are they talking about here? What's going on? And
the hammer at the end. That was
it's crazy. Those the clips at the end, the end credit scenes. really changed the way movies, like we wait, like what's going to happen? Who is that? And you hear people, who is that? Who's that? Who is that? Who's that purple guy? Oh, it's Thanos. We'll see. So it's crazy, how far like Marvel has come with their characters to develop them from, just a little teaser from like Clint Barton to, him being a major role in Endgame is crazy.
Yeah. So that's kind of funny you bring that up, because I feel like the Marvel universe kind of it ruined the way you watch movies, because now you saw the movie, the credits roll up and you're like, let's get out of here. But now you're like, first thing I do is I pop my phone open. I'm like, is there anything after the credits? Any movie that it could
be. Yeah.
It's like you're like, is there anything after the credits?
Well, I can't really think of other movies that have end credits.
There's a couple. I know, so M. Night Shyamalan started doing that on. He did that on. What was the name with the guy that? With the multiple personality.
Yeah.
Split. Yes.
Yeah.
So he did that with Split.
Right.
With Mr. Glass. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, you're right. I mean, not that many people are doing that. But yeah, it's definitely one of those where it's like, you're forced to watch all the way through.
Right. And then when you sit to, 12 minutes of credits for a 10-second clip. So that's our society. But, that's what we have to deal with at being geeks. You're like,
So we unfortunately are at this weird crossroad with Spider-Man, right? So we have Sony and Marvel fighting over this character. What do you think is going to happen to Spider-Man?
I think eventually he'll repop into the MCU. But I think they're going to try their hand on some his own movies, own properties with Sony. And I think it may be good because you'll be able to develop him a little bit more. He was kind of thrown in Civil War without really much character development. Like, we know his backstory. We know Uncle Ben. We know all that stuff. But he was just kind of, he's there. He's Spider-Man. We don't see him get bit, which, we've seen it 2-3 other times already. But I think they can go back and kind of develop some characters that are Sony exclusive. That's the one thing with the MCU. We weren't going to see him with Venom, Carnage.
That's true.
Characters like that. So it's a plus that they can develop him more, give him his own, cinematic universe. And I think Tom Holland deserves it because he has taken that Peter Parker character and really made it his own while paying homage to, I think what we grew up watching in the cartoons and reading the comics.
Yeah, definitely. So Tom Holland, I think, did an excellent job with Spider-Man. I think he's been one of the more convincing Spider-Mans for me. I mean, he fits the nerd quality. What I see, what typical people see nerds at, right? I think he fits that perfectly. How do you compare him to, let's say, Tobey Maguire? In your opinion, which one do you like the best? You like Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire?
I think Tom Holland is more relatable to me as as that when I was that age. That's how if I were to become Spider-Man, that's how I would act. Just total awkward, not really sure how to use your powers, not really sure how to fit in with these other, and now he's brought in with the other Avengers, so he's just kind of like, what do I do? Like, how, he plays a role perfectly. Tobey Maguire, set kind of paved the way for Tom Holland, if you think about it, though. His Spider-Man was more in a comic universe. It's weird to say because they're all comic movies, but his is a different universe at a time. He was really the only hero in that world he was in.
Right.
So he had to be a larger hero to for New York. But those movies, I tried watching them and they're hard to sit through now. It's like, what was this? Like, but at the time, like, this is the greatest thing. Like Spider-Man swinging through the city. That's 2001, 2002, I think they came out.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like how long ago they were, but how those movies have come so far, especially when the Spider-Man, like the webs swinging looks so real. It's like, what? Like it's crazy. Yeah.
So one of the things that was weird about Tobey Maguire he was shooting webs out of his hands. That was kind of strange. I was like, wait a minute. So you
Yeah, let's keep it PG.
yeah. I was like, this is not how it's supposed to go. Yeah, and see, that's one of the things as a nerd, and it's difficult for the studios to do this the right way, right? So you want to stay true to the character, but at the same time, you want to take a different spin. You take some risks, but you got to be very careful with how you do that.
Yeah, you want to keep it true to the comic, but then you want to put your own unique twist on it. But you think about it though, is if he was bit by a spider, what I can see what their mindset was. Well, if he was bit by a spider, he would have the ability of a spider, so he could shoot webs, but he gets sticky fingers. So, I can kind of see where the executives came from, but like I said, I don't think it has aged very well.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't. I own both of them, and I've never thrown them back on.
You don't own the third one?
No.
Spider-Man 3, you don't own that one?
I don't think so.
A Topher Grace?
No,
oh, Lord.
No.
But, so I think with Tom Holland, for me, he reminds me of the old Fox cartoon, Peter Parker. Like, he is like the perfect rendition of it. And it's crazy that's come to life. So for me, that's what I grew up watching. And so that's why I feel like, he's one of the better Spider-Man. I hope he stays Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I hope he's not, recasted. I think that's good. If Sony does that, they're going to lose a lot of fans, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And you kind of reminded me of something. It just clicked when you said, back on the Fox show. So Mysterio on there, for me, Far From Home, and the Mysterio they played on Fox was almost like right there.
I think they took some shot for shots of the way he was, and when he was doing the illusions on Peter, I was geeking out. It's like, this is crazy, and same thing with Doctor Strange. I was really never a Doctor Strange fan. I knew of him, and Doctor Strange is one of my favorite Marvel movies. It's so underrated on the effects and the visuals, and just how far that we can go with that. The different realms of realities and stuff. It's crazy to think of the future.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what's next. So moving forward, like what's exciting? What are you most looking forward to now? What's the next movie that you're like, man, I can't wait to see what they do with this?
Honestly, it's not even the movies I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the TV shows that Disney Plus is going to be putting out. If you think about it, we're limited to 1.5 hour, 2 hours in the movies, while Disney Plus, the shows will be almost an 8-hour movie, and they're going to tie in directly to the to the future movies. So I think it would be a great way for us to not have these big gaps between movies that come out of Marvel. Because the Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home came out, it went in July. So there's not another Marvel movie until Black Widow, I think, next year. So that's a big time for us to wait. So I think those movies will kind of be able to fulfill our needs. And I need to see more. I need to see what this character's doing, and be able to fill in some time gaps between events that happen in the MCU.
Yeah. So I wonder if they'll do that. If they'll kind of tie the shows directly to the movies. That would be that's what I would do.
From what I hear, I think that's why Netflix didn't do it, because I think Marvel, Netflix was unique because that's the first time we saw them on the small screen, like Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. But they didn't really tie in. They kind of talked about the Battle of New York, and they talked about the Avengers, but we never saw anything beyond that. And I think if End Game, if they would have came out of the portals, we would all freaked out in the theater.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. That's good. All right, so let's talk a little bit now about video games. This is the meat and potatoes of being a nerd. Yeah. So talk to us. What do you game on predominantly?
Right now, Xbox One X. I am an equal opportunity gamer, so I kind of play the games that have interest in me. So I played PS4 for the Spider-Man game. I want to build my own PC soon, so I can kind of get into that. So, console wars, PC master race. To me, if the game is good, I will play it on whatever platform it's on. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, for me, I've always been a PS4 fan. I just recently got the Switch after many, almost a year.
Yeah, the Nintendo, the Super Mario looks awesome on there.
Yeah, it's been the wife that holds me back from gaming, honestly.
Oh, no, you can't say that.
She's going to see it. She's like, I don't keep you. I'm like, yes, you do. Yeah. But no, I recently got the Switch, and the PS4, the graphics, amazing. But one of the things that that I have, which was kind of interesting, they started doing is releasing like the old school, like for example, the PS1 Mini. They had the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and then they had the Nintendo. Those were kind of cool. It's kind of those throwback games because you kind of try to recreate your childhood. And when I think of gaming, like some of the most memorable memories for me is like sitting in front of the TV, early in the morning, and just like I have breakfast, running the TV, and just start playing. Right?
Yeah, the nostalgia level. When we fire up those old games and hear the old 8-bit sounds or the old school themes, it just hits you in the feels. For me, the Donkey Kong Country is one of those old school games. When I hear that music, it just it sends chills. Like, man, what a great time to be into gaming. And we've evolved so far in the graphics. It's crazy. It is, that's one of the themes in this is Geek right now is evolving. Everything is evolving from the movies to the games. But with gaming, the graphics are 4K now, which is insane to think about. Like, you can't tell where the cutscene ends and the gaming begins, really.
I mean, think of like Mortal Kombat. I mean, holy crap, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, look at I think I started playing Mortal Kombat on Mortal Kombat 2 is the one I started playing, and look at Mortal Kombat 11. It's like, wow, that's a completely different game. That's not even the same thing anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like two different games. Yeah. Honestly, it's the same name, but the characters kind of have changed and they create their own personalities. But and think of 10 years from now, what's going to be like. It's going to be insane. And the only, I say, downfall that every geek will know is the cost of being a geek.
Yes.
It's very costly to be a geek, whether it's gaming, whether it's going to conventions and getting autographs, whether it be collecting, statues or anything you want to collect. It's an investment. And I think that it's something that every spouse feels. Like, my wife's like, what are you looking at? Like, nothing. And what are you pre-ordering? Nothing. So it's one of those. I can only imagine what these consoles in the future are going to cost.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because the next thing I wanted to touch on, so gaming, in the platform sense, as a true platform, is kind of being attacked right now by Google, and it's one of those things where it's an interesting concept, and I really want to see where it goes. What do you think about the Google Stevia?
I feel like it's going to take a while for people to really accept it into the current generation of consoles. Will I get it? I'm not sure. I think if I got it, I would get a lot of views on a mixer with it. People are like, I want to see what this looks like, what it plays like. But it's something that I have to see firsthand how it plays, how it feels. And I think that other people will be the same way to make that initial investment on something that's so new. It's it's hard, but Google has that backing though. So
for sure, it's one of those things where Google's track record for making things is pretty solid, but they don't. I don't think of gaming with Google, right? To me, it's PS4, Xbox, Nintendo, those kind of consoles. So it'd be interesting to see how well they can execute it, and the games, right? Because that's really what's gonna either keep you where you're at or really force you to move. Because if they come out with some bangers, man, I mean, you're gonna jump ship pretty easily.
Yeah, they're gonna have something that is gonna be Google exclusive that's gonna make you really drop the money for it. There's very few games that are like that. Xbox has Halo, Gears of War. PS has Last of Us. What else do they have?
God of War.
God of War. The Spider-Man. So those games are the ones like you will buy a console for that. So I don't know if Google will have that at launch, but I think maybe eventually developers will see that as a good source to maybe fun games that that wouldn't normally go to Xbox or PS4.
That's good. Yeah, so now we're talking about consoles, and we touched a little bit on live streaming. So like we mentioned earlier, you do live stream quite often, and I see some of your live streams is really entertaining. What is it about live streaming you think that has been exploded the market? Because you think of Ninja just disrupting the way people kind of view video games.
Well, it gives everyone a chance to interact with each other, and it made that connection. It's a place where everyone's gonna have that same interest in gaming. So you go on Mixer and you can just any game you think of, someone's probably playing it, whether it be old school Nintendo or the newest game that just came out yesterday, someone's gonna be playing it. and I think the interaction is the biggest thing. We can interact with people who we would, probably on the street not interact with them. You never know who's gaming. One of my favorite streamers to watch is a retired police officer. He plays GTA roleplay as a sheriff.
Really?
And he's I want to say probably in his 50s, and he does he's so entertaining to watch. I'm like, wow, and because he plays a role so well. And it's weird to think of, like, I'm watching this guy, but it's funny. You never know who will be a gamer. It's really hard, to find out. So I think it's one of those things where the platform gives us an opportunity to find new people and support them. I think the biggest thing that I want to get across is, if you like someone, support them. I mean, because $5 for us is with a coffee, that really can change someone and give them that motivation to keep going. For me, I do it as entertainment. I already play games already, so I'm like, I might as well just go live and see who tunes in, and give people a place to talk with me or talk with each other, build that community, have an opportunity for everyone to, just have fun. I'm not the best gamer, but I'm trying to have fun with it. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just, enjoy what I'm doing and, share with everyone.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I mean, you said something that really embodies why we do certain things, right? It's not really recognition. It's more like you were already planning on doing it anyways, but having that extra kick, seeing the people joining your live streams, or even like for me, like watching more people view my YouTube videos, it kind of encourages me to, like, oh, this is something that people are interested in. It solidifies what you're doing.
Right. We always want that recognition, and I think just dropping a comment saying, hey, great video, or even give us constructive criticism as content creators, like, hey, change this a little bit, or I can barely, I hear you here, or change the quality here. So we take that as feedback. We're like, oh, okay, because as we tune into videos or live streams, I think we have a different mindset because we look at it as content creators now. So we're like, oh, I wonder how they did that, or we see something cool, like how can I do that on mine?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is going to evolve with live streaming, is the technology. From now, people have green screen, so they can have a different background. I've seen it to where they have avatars, so you don't even have to show your face on camera. They have an avatar where it talks when you talk. So it's pretty cool to see that advance.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to watch that transition and morph into what it is now. It's really got me excited about what's next. And I think platforms like Twitch and things like that are going to really kind of change gaming for everybody, and I'm really excited about that. About the future of gaming in that sense. So what is something else that you think, we talked about movies, we talked about video games, shows. What's something that you see, and we're gonna go back into the Houston Geek Faction, that you see a common theme that people in the chat are really excited for?
It always spikes around Comic-Con season. April, May, June, that's when most Comic-Cons happen. To be able to cosplay. Cosplay is a big thing right now. And the thing about cosplay is it gives you a chance to not be yourself. We all have jobs, we all, have family life, stuff like that. But during that time you're at the convention, you can be whoever you want. And when you're at a convention, I feel like it's a safe zone. You can be the craziest character you want. You could, be your favorite anime, Marvel character, DC character, anything, and it's a judgment-free zone. I think that's where people want. They want that, to be able to go somewhere and feel safe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of those places that, you look at these, and at first, what got me, when I started looking at cosplay, it was really, it's kind of sad to say it, but it was the girls. You had Jessica Negri, those kind of girls, and I was like, man, they're kind of hot. And then I started seeing like this huge aura, and then seeing the amount of work that they put into these costumes.
Right.
It is a full-time job to see some of these people make some of these costumes.
It's a very time-consuming and expensive hobby to have, and that's why I think when you go to a convention, you see a cosplay you like, tell them, hey, that's awesome. Can I get a picture with you? What's your social media so I can post it and tag you? And that really will give them the motivation to keep going, because I'm sure they have a lot of sleepless nights trying to create stuff. And I think every person who cosplays has that day before the convention feeling, to where they're panicking.
Yeah.
Like,
Are they gonna like my cosplay?
Right. Yeah. Everyone now is so judgmental as a society, and I think that's what makes Geeks so special. Is that when they come together, that it's usually a judgment-free zone.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something that's kind of interesting. So as a geek, when at least when we started off, when were younger, geek it had a negative connotation to it. And now it's developing to now geeks are cool. So I think now that when you call somebody a geek, it's like, oh, well, thank you, So back then you were a geek and you would cry, go home.
Yeah, I remember being in elementary school and bringing my comics to school and trading with some friends, and people were like, you nerdy geek, But now I guarantee those same people are going to go see the Avengers movies.
Oh yeah,
definitely. With their kids probably wearing Spider-Man shirts. So it's funny how this come full circle.
Yeah.
And we were at the forefront of it, and I think that's that's why I like Houston Geek Faction, because I feel like we can introduce people to being a geek that probably didn't think they were a geek, but and make it a positive term to where you can go out in public, wear your geek pride, and don't be afraid to engage with strangers. Hey, I like that shirt. Oh, Captain America, or see someone with the Black Panther shirt. Wakanda forever. And it's something that as a community we can all come together and make each other and build each other up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of those things where I'm really happy to see that, because it gets you out of the shadows. So I'm definitely glad to hear that. And kind of on the same rail, and you got this interesting shirt. I actually wanted to point this out. It says Walt Disney Studios. So, and I'm going to throw a little personal thing out there, but you and your wife, you seem to go like every year. Is that true?
Yeah, we go to Disneyland, Disney World, Universal Studios at least twice a year. And it's something that, in the vicinity, of us being in Houston to Orlando is a 2-hour flight, or to Cali is, 2.5-hour flight. It's something that it's our own time to be able to bond with each other, to share interests. We have similar interests, but we have also different interests. And, for her, it's Disney movies. And I grew up watching Disney movies also. And now with Star Wars and Marvel being in Disney, it's something that I've embraced even more. And as Galaxy's Edge just opened recently in Disney World, and Marvel Land soon to be opening up in Disneyland, it's something that, something we can do together. And I think that's real, it's always, fun to do something, with your spouse.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's one of those things where, bonding with your spouse, significant other, or even friendship, it's one of those things where being a geek is, you need that kind of backup, right? To kind of enjoy yourself a little bit out in public. Right.
And recently my wife started gaming with me. She's not a gamer at all. But I was playing Sea of Thieves, and she's like, kind of caught interest in it.
Oh no, our poster's falling. Wait for it. Yeah.
He's inevitable.
He snapped. Snapped.
But going back to Sea of Thieves, so I was playing Sea of Thieves, and I was like, "What is that?" And so she kind of caught interest in it. And Sea of Thieves is on Xbox, and it's pretty much an open world pirate game where you can get a crew and just sail the seas until your heart's content, and you encounter other players and PvP, or there's PvE in it. So it's a unique game, and it's something that you don't have to. Everyone has the same skill level, same weapons. So it's something that, you can make it what you want. So she actually started joining me playing, which is fun. So our Saturday night, we usually try to play together with another couple. And it's something that, has brought us closer together. It's something that, 7 years ago, I would have never considered playing games, but it's something that we do now. And I recently just started playing Minecraft with her. Nice. I never played Minecraft before. So on my live stream a couple of days ago, my title was "First Time Playing Minecraft, Please Help Me." So I had people come in and kind of give me some advice, and we played over the weekend. This weekend has actually been pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's very therapeutic.
Right.
Whatever your geekdom is, it's very therapeutic.
Right.
Like you mentioned, video games, whatever it could be. So now that we're closing up, let's talk a little. Let's go back and let's kind of talk about the Houston Geek Faction. Let's say somebody out there has, this is the first time they're hearing about it. What is something that you would say, who should come to the Geek Faction?
If you have any fandom, any passion, and you're unsure if people share it with you, I say try Houston Geek Faction out. Join it up, and I guarantee within the first week, someone's going to post something similar to what you're interested in. And like I said, it's really a sandbox group to where we moderate it, pretty lightly. We don't have, very rarely, maybe once every 6 months, we have, someone try to come in and troll or, post something that, is, insensitive to other people, but, we're quick to handle it. So I want it to be a safe place. So if you're trying to find, other people to share interest, I'd say check out Houston Geek Faction, give it a try, and you'll probably stay for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in since inception, so it's awesome to see it grow.
Right.
And yeah, there's so many people on there that post some really, I mean, whether it be a meme or like news about video games or movies.
I find myself scrolling down every day to find out things that, whether it be breaking news on a movie coming out or a new game that's being developed. It's a one place that, we don't have to scour the internet for news. It's,
yeah, somebody will do it for you.
Yeah, it's almost this news outlet. And, so shout out to all the moderators that we have, and then the everyone who contributes to the group. You guys run the group. This is your group. It's not my group. I just took the vision with Leo and Chad and kind of made it a reality. And you guys, provide all the content.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really good to see it because, I mean, for me, and I got my little Vegeta here. I mean, for me, it's Dragon Ball. And one of the recent things that I didn't even know about was the Dragon Ball leaks, which is, I was like, what the heck is that? And I Googled, I was like, wow.
Yeah, and for me, I always try to get out of my comfort zone. So my comfort zone is, the gaming, Marvel, some DC. But I really tried to get into the anime and even like the tabletop gaming, something that I've always had interest in, but I never knew kind of where to start on it. When I recently, the last time I went to Comicpalooza, I actually went to the gaming floor and I just checked it out. I was talking to people, hey, so how does this game work? It looks really hard, but like with anything, I think if there's someone to guide you, you probably have fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. So what is next for Houston Geek Faction? What are some of the things that you're excited about for upcoming?
For the upcoming year, I want to do a lot of new group meetups, whether it be in person or online, and really just bring everyone together and kind of create new friendships. I always love seeing people out in the conventions or at movies, premieres, to kind of put a face to the name. And, kind of, I want to really bring the Geek Faction to all of Houston. Houston's so big, I feel like we're kind of in this little area, but we want to expand it to, pretty much all of Houston.
Yeah, that would be great. And the kind of segueing into towards the end of the show here, but we have I put my little character out there because we actually have something really exciting coming up for both the Houston Geek Faction and for Noob University that we decided to do, which was kind of special. So we got a couple of characters here, and let me move this out of the way. So we got a couple of Funko characters that we might be giving out to a couple people here. So we're going to let Ruben take one for the Houston Geek Faction, and they're going to have to, you don't just get them for doing, you just don't get them by doing nothing. You're going to have to actually do some work to get these, but they're really cool. So we have the Spider-Man, the upgraded suit. And then we also have Night Monkey over there.
Night Monkey.
So these are going to be available. So we'll give more details, and we will link to the Houston Geek Faction to see what you got to do to win a couple of these. But definitely, I know we're going to be in talks about possibly doing another meetup.
Yeah, it's something that we want to create ambassadors for Houston Geek Faction, to where, so if you know someone who's a geek, hey, you should join this group. So we're always looking for ambassadors, and we're going to have different meetups for members, admin, ambassadors, and kind of see how we can all come together and grow Houston Geek Faction. So like I said, if you guys are interested, the link is facebook.com/Houston Geek Faction, and you just request to join. Just a couple questions. We're sharing that a Terminator robot. I want you to answer those. You be in.
Yeah, no Skynet allowed.
Yeah, no Skynet. It's not yet.
Definitely good. So any last shout outs before we head out?
Like I said, shout out to all the admins of Houston Geek Faction, all the members. If you guys want to check me out on Mixer, my Mixer link is mixer.com/thebeast.com, THABEAST.com.
Definitely. So I'm glad you came on the show. Definitely a long time coming, long time. So one of my good friends, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ruben Dobson.
Thank you for having me, Walter.
No problem, man. Love having you on the show. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Later.
Nice.
Good job.
You did good, man.
Like we talk all day, dude.
Aw, man. We forgot to do one thing, Chipotle. We forgot to let the audience know how they can score some free merch. Number 1, you're going to have to subscribe to my channel. Number 2, like the video. Number 3, comment down below and tell me, what is your favorite video game? Do that and you score a chance to win.